This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Well, joining us today is Jonathan Bixby, the Executive Chairman and founder of Cykel AI. That's the ticker CYK. Listed today on the Aquis Exchange, IPO today, raising £1.75 million. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm very well. Very excited to be here, Mark. Thanks.
Well, it's good to be talking to you and getting a bit of an idea of what the company is all about. And on that note, if you can perhaps start us off by just giving us the high-level overview or the elevator pitch, if you like, of Cykel AI.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just tell you the quick founding story, which I think will give you a sense of what we're trying to do. So back in November of last year, like many of your listeners, I was playing with ChatGPT along with my children and realized very, very quickly that it was incredible. So it was game-changing at a number of levels. But what it really ended up being for me was a Wikipedia that was really smart and could spout back a lot of facts. And it was also a Grammarly in that it could write a lot of content that was really interesting in whatever tone I wanted. What I really wanted at the end of the day was for the AI to do something. So if you will, my analogy was the AI had a big brain and was a big head. I wanted hands. And those hands were for accomplishing digital tasks. So the foundational core of this business is knowledge workers spend about 30 to 40% of their days doing repetitive digital tasks. Mm-hmm. The question is, how can AI help you? And Cykel is essentially a task operating system for users who are doing these repetitive digital tasks. A couple of data points on that would be, or examples, be a salesperson. I am constantly spending time on my Salesforce.com trying to get Mark into a meeting, into a webinar, into an opportunity. How can that be automated? I'm a real estate agent and I'm managing my real estate across multiple platforms. I'm an e-commerce person and I'm managing my SKUs across multiple platforms and marketing platforms. How can a product actually use AI to help me be more efficient in my job? And that's what Cykel does.
Okay, so I like what you say there about making the hands away from the brain that, perhaps ChatGPT. Everyone, I think, was very impressed with ChatGPT when it first came out. But yes, how can you give us some more kind of real, tangible or useful real-world uses to AI? You mentioned the digital tasks. You gave a few examples. Could you give us a few real-term examples of some of the mundane tasks that you're hoping to solve?
Yeah. So when I sit and talk with salespeople, the number one thing that I get back to people is they want to spend time prospecting, talking, and meeting with their customers and closing deals. They don't want to spend time going into Salesforce.com, creating a contact, creating an opportunity, getting you into that webinar. All of those tasks are what I would call mundane tasks that need to be, the blocking and tackling want to do. So that sales use case, I think, is the most interesting one for us. And I think that's the one where there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. And a lot of the sales teams that I've been involved with, because I'm ultimately a salesperson, has been around this idea of getting my best salespeople to be selling and not using the CRM.
Okay. And how advanced, how developed is the software? Is it ready to deploy immediately?
It is very close. So we are in closed beta right now. So we are, I would say, 80%, 90% of the way developed. We are going to market in Q1, i.e. opening up the floodgates. But before that, we want to do some closed betas with potential opportunities to work out all the last kinks.
Okay, well, that's good. And I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about perhaps your USP. Is there any other players in this space? I'm sure there are many. We heard about the AI boom recently. Of course, NVIDIA shares, for example, are doing very well on the back of that. So you can't be the only player in this space. What sets you apart?
Yeah, so we are not the only player. I think our biggest competitor is going to be a company called Adept out of Silicon Valley. Those guys are taking a very different approach to what we've done. So they've raised about $350 to $500 million at a billion plus valuation. Mm-hmm. I think very much if you take the analogy, and I'm old enough to sort of remember back to Web 1.0 in the late 90s, a lot of the big AI companies are taking what I would call a Web 1.0 approach, which is they're building the data centers, they're building the interconnect, they're building all the heavy iron. And so they need to raise a ton of money to do so. The problem with that approach is it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's a lot of technical risk. So if you look at what Adept's doing, they're building an underlying natural language processing model for their own company. Frankly, I think that's a mistake. I think the way to go to market is you stand on the shoulders of giants like the OpenAI guys or the Anthropic Claude models, because they're the ones who have spent billions and billions on the underlying tech. And I don't need to build the underlying tech. What I need to do is to satisfy customers and solve business problems. And so when you look at our company, our differentiator is we are going to go to market with the best possible product in those verticals that I discussed earlier.
Okay. And can you give us a size of the market opportunity? I know it's in the many billions, but can you give me a size of the market opportunity in the sort of sector, if you like, or the piece of pie that you'll be targeting?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are unbelievable. If you look at both the total AI market, the CAGR in the AI market, you're talking about 40 to 50% compound annual growth over the next 10 years on a large base. In the efficiency market, so if you look at sales teams, if you look at e-commerce, if you look at any sort of repetitive digital task, we're talking about billions of dollars globally. I don't have an exact number, but it's going to create multiple billion-dollar companies, whether those are standalone companies or acquired into some of these large players. Time will tell. As you know, consolidation is something that happens in technology every 3 to 5 years. I think if we do our jobs right, we satisfy our customers. We could be a standalone player. We could also be potentially acquired.
Okay. And what's the strategy going forward then? What's the business model? I know you're following the SaaS model. That's a software as a service business model there, which of course where people or companies, users pay. It could be a monthly, it could be an annual subscription fee. How are you basing your how are you targeting your sales, and what's the strategy?
Yeah, so the strategy is a freemium SaaS model. So the idea is you're a salesperson. I want you, Mark, to use the product and love it. And you're going to tell your buddy that you just closed more deals last week because you used our product. The goal ultimately is to sell enterprise annualized SaaS contracts to CFOs and VPs. Okay. But we have to go through that freemium bottoms up approach.
Okay. Well, I noticed from your timeline, you said earlier you want to launch in Q1. Your timeline, you want to close out 5 SaaS customers in Q1. How confident are you you'll meet that?
I'm actually really confident. I mean, I have yet to talk to a senior leader that is not looking at this technology, that is not curious, that it doesn't want to try it. I built many businesses on this sort of evangelical sales model where, we have to stand behind the technology, but the eagerness to improve efficiency through AI is just a trend that I'm seeing across the board. So Very confident in both that and the partnerships that I think we can develop.
Well, let's talk about the partnerships as well, because you talk about there in Q2 wanting to close 5 reseller relationships or partnerships. So again, that's obviously going to be a pretty big focus for the team.
Absolutely. I think this is a perfect product and company on the partnership side. So I think the partnership model, the reseller model, going through existing channels is the way to do this. And we're already having early conversations of great with incumbents in those channels.
Okay. Well, now you've got the IPO away. Congratulations again, and you've got that money in the bank there. There's a couple of months, just over a couple of months left of the year before you hit that Q1 where you'll be hopefully hitting these sales targets there. What are the plans for use of funds for the very near term as we go into the new year?
Yeah, so we're in team growth mode. So we are looking for, on the sales side, what's really cool about our product is we can eat our own dog food. So we can automate our marketing and our sales using our AI, which is, I think, a clear advantage in terms of the efficiency of our business. But we are certainly looking for some leadership across sales and marketing, operational, and then our tech team is in place building right now. So we're probably not going to expand the tech team very much. It's going to be all go to market.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Jonathan Bixby, the Executive Chairman and Founder of Cykel AI. I wish you all the best as you now hit the market, and I'm sure we'll be speaking in the future.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.